Good morning. So I'm going to give you my 2.5 week update from my hysterectomy. So overall things are going well. The only real challenge and complication that I'm having is this little nerve injury. It is getting better, which is very encouraging. The burning, up until probably the end of the day yesterday, as long as I had that wrap on, it was tolerable for a fairly extended period of time, still present, but tolerable. But if I would take the wrap off and I would stand up and walk around, it very quickly became quite burning and painful. Yesterday afternoon, after my fascial treatment that I've been doing, and I'll kind of talk you through a little bit of what I've been doing there. I used some fascial tools and some fascial handwork and some topicals that help assist with healing and mild topical analgesics. And that, I think, has really been working and going well. As I do it, I can still feel that there is swelling, especially in the musculature. So I don't expect people who are not in my line of work to be able to identify these things, but I can actually feel that the portion of the oblique and the rectus abdominis, which is the muscle in the middle, and the obliques and transverse abdominis come and meet the rectus abdominis, and actually between them is kind of where that nerve injury pierces through. That area, there's like a strip just above my incision where I can feel that the muscle is still pretty swollen. It's tender, it's not bad, and actually contracting it now doesn't hurt that much, except for when I contract in a certain position, I can feel the nerve being compressed. But all in all, it's going well. And today, at 2.5 weeks, it's actually 2 weeks and 5 days, so almost, I'm getting close to 3 weeks, is going to be my first day. I'm going to go to the gym, but by go to the gym, I'm going to do just a little bit. I'm going to do a little tiny bit of lifting. I'm going to do a little bit, see if I can start to get my abdominals contracting. I'm going to do a little bit of yoga and stretching. Nothing crazy. If I start to have any pain or discomfort, I'm obviously going to stop. And a good rule of thumb for those of you that are, you've had an injury and you're trying to get back into something, when you start, I really recommend you go slow. So I tell people increase about 10% per day. I've definitely been doing about 10% or less of what I normally do. And yeah, so I'm going to start out about 10, no more than 20% of what I would normally do in a workout. The sun is coming up and it's starting to blind me. So I'm going to stop here for this part. And then if it's not too awkward, maybe I'll show you a little bit of what I do in the gym today. This video is going to be done at like 20 times speed because I know you don't want to watch minutes of me doing exercise, but I did some really simple abdominal work. I made sure that I didn't have any pain. It progressively got a little bit more challenging, but overall it was very simple. Abdominal setting, pelvic tilts, bridges, leg lifts, pointer dog, plank on your knees, simple stuff. Then I did a little tiny bit of stretching, and I did a little bit of work with the TRX on a very low resistance, but overall it was extremely simple. I made sure that there was no pain, and I did not do more than my 20% self-recommended limitation. So I think that went well. I was very conservative. I only did about 30 minutes, very gentle. If it came out okay, I'll include it in the video. I did just a little bit of stretching, a little bit of core work, a little tiny bit of TRX stuff, and then a little bit of elliptical. Like, I told myself I'd limit myself to about 20, no more than 20% of my normal activity. I'll assess over the rest of the day. If I become really uncomfortable or sore, then I know I need to back off. If I feel pretty good about it, then I can go and do a little bit more. The nerve pain actually, weirdly enough, did not hurt while I was exercising. As a matter of fact, I didn't really feel any of it until a little bit when I was walking out, but not much. So that's a really good sign. Also kind of strange. Doesn't really make sense. But I'm pleased. And I think that, everyone is different. So please keep in mind, if you're watching this video, your recovery may be really different for a whole host of reasons. It might be different because you're younger, you're older, you had a more involved surgery, you had a vaginal versus an abdominal, you have a prior level of fitness or not. So there's a whole host of variables that would determine whether or not you tolerate return to activity. Also, always follow the advice of your surgeon, and never use any of this as a substitute for appropriate medical advice. And I guess the moral of this story is really listen to your body. If your body is telling you it's too much, you need to stop and back off. And I think another thing to keep in mind is that if I were doing this and I was on pain medication, I don't think that would be a good assessment of my tolerance. I've not been on pain medication for, I think, almost 2 weeks at this point. So, and even then it was just ibuprofen. But still, if you're blunting the pain and then you're going and do something that could aggravate your pain, you really don't know until maybe it's a little too late. So at this point, pain would be an educational tool for me. It would tell me, hey, you need to back off. Or, hey, I think this is actually going to make my body feel better. Exercise is also medicine. And so I don't want everyone to be afraid of exercising. And you don't need to go to a gym. You can do exercise at home. You can do it outside. There's a whole host of ways to be active, but being active, I would say, is probably a healthy lifestyle is probably the reason why I'm recovering as well as I am. So if that's not something that's part of your lifestyle now, then maybe this is that opportunity to say, you know what, I need to make a change in my life and I need to take better care of myself because I want to be able to live a long and healthy life. Modern medicine, we're really capable of keeping people alive, but that doesn't mean that they're thriving. It doesn't mean that they're healthy, that they're well, that they're functioning, that they're fulfilled. And so we are all going to have bumps in the road. This surgery for me is just a hiccup. And your perspective of how you approach it is really important for your overall recovery. There's actually some research and data to support that your perceived outcome is pretty much what's going to happen. So if you go into a procedure and you believe that you are going to be well and better than ever, you're much more likely to have a positive outcome. If you go in believing that you're going to have problems and that you're going to do poorly, that generally is what's going to manifest. Now, so when I spoke about this surgery to people, I said, I'm healthy, I'm young, well, young to have a hysterectomy, maybe 43. I think 43 is super young. I don't care what anyone says. I'm young. I'm healthy, I'm young, and I'm going to do great. I'm going to be fine. And I'm going to recover nicely, and I'm going to do what I need to do to make myself well again. So keep the proper mindset. And if you're really struggling, definitely don't hesitate to talk to someone professionally. I think that, I've mentioned this, I think, in another video. As a professional, in my practice, I have referred more people to mental health services in the last year than I probably have in my last 20 years of practice. So, whether you want to, health coaching, if you need counseling, if you need psychiatry, if you need support groups, sometimes exercise in and of itself is a great form of therapy. Actually, again, there's some research to support that exercise is as good, if not better, than antidepressants for depression. So for people who suffer from depression or they're feeling depressed because of their recovery, because I can see, I get how that can happen. I have a history of a chronic pain injury as well, and that's another topic for another video. But I can see how that would be really important. I actually plan on doing some counseling when my son goes to college because I think that's a smart decision. If that said, there's also therapy in things like finding a group of people with common interests, going outside. Nature has a really great way of being therapeutic in that way. And, finding goals and working toward them, working hard is a really valuable tool as well. That said, thank goodness we live in a time where we have options, whether we need counseling, if there's medication, whether it's temporary or long-term. Fortunately, we live in a time where those things are available to us. But I really strongly encourage you to look at options that may prove helpful, either instead of or in adjunct to those kinds of things. That was a little bit of a side tangent, but I thought that talking about some mental health would be helpful right now in this video, because, you know, even for me being cooped up for a couple of weeks, I was really getting like stir crazy and antsy. And I can see how, you know, my patients that suffer from chronic illness and chronic pain can really start to get the blues from feeling detached and removed from the things that they enjoy in life.